Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is the 25th of October, 2025. How safe are you? Today is the day, and tonight may be the night, or this weekend may be the weekend when we see tropical storm now developed into Category 1 hurricane. Melissa may become a threat to our beautiful island, Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, I want to speak to you not about Hurricane Melissa. I want to just encourage us all concerning the hurricane to be safe. Make sure that you abide by the rules, regulations, and the advice given by the Office of the Prime Minister and the Office of the Disaster Prepared Management and all the shelter teams out there. I recognize the government of Jamaica has made every possible effort to make sure everyone is safe, and safety is our priority during this time of natural disaster. I continue to pray, and Jamaica continue to pray. We continue to pray that Hurricane Melissa, to which I just recognized on public information on the Weather Channel, just developed into Category 1. I pray we all will be safe and try everything possible to be safe. So this may be my last and recording until after the hurricane, because my phone will be busy for the next few hours or days. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk very quickly. As you notice, for the past few days and week, I've been talking about Jaden Smith. And I continue to get calls. I continue to get many messages regarding my presentations on Jaden Smith. If you notice on my screen at this moment, there are two pictures that I have posted. These pictures came out of the demonstration that happened yesterday in Mandeville. And I want to sound an alarm. I want to echo my voice to the sentiments of what is going on in the public's arena concerning the disappearance of Jaden Smith. As I said to you, my concern for Jaden Smith and my voice being heard in the Jaden Smith matter is because I have lived for several years and continue to live in the vicinity that Jaden Smith is from. And as a parent, I can't stay silent without letting my voice be heard. If you notice, this is my first recording about Jaden Smith that I have no picture of Jaden Smith on my phone or on my laptop or on my screen. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I do not have any picture of Jaden Smith anymore, if you've been following my recordings, my messages, and my concern regarding the Jaden Smith matter, you would have recognized that most of the things I am saying concerning Jaden Smith is based on two of Jamaica's acts that were passed in law. And I spoke about the 2004 Information Act that was passed in Jamaica, where the Ministry of Education has empowered principals to make sure that they adhere to the Information Act, where principals are responsible to protect information regarding parents, teachers, and students. Not just that, there is a database system that every principal in Jamaica is responsible to protect that information they have on a child, a teacher, or parent. And they work in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. And based on the 2004 Information Act, I recognize that the principal here in the matter regarding Jaden Smith, the principal of Manchester High School, would be empowered under the 2004 Information Act as a principal in having some responsibilities to carry out as a principal that is expected of him as the Ministry of Education would have had it. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe the silence of the principal of the Manchester High School now regarding the disappearance of Jaden Smith has nothing to do with personal association according to public's view. I do believe that as a principal, he has a responsibility that he has to follow the rules and guidelines of Ministry of Education, and also in regard to the 2004 Information Act. Ladies and gentlemen, let's also look at the 2020. Yes, the 2020 Child Protection Act. We have to look at these acts that were passed in the laws of the books of Jamaica, where children in a situation as Jaden has to be protected. There are rules and regulations. And when I listen carefully to the public comments regarding the principal and Jaden's family and Jaden the student himself, think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Jaden Smith will never, ever live to have a normal life in Jamaica anymore if he is to be known in public. And I ask the question this evening, how do you know that Jaden Smith is not on a path of receiving a new identity? How do you know if Jaden Smith is not at this moment somewhere protected, safe? Why, ladies and gentlemen? If you read the Information Act of Jamaica, and if you read the Child Protection Acts of Jamaica, then you would recognize that in a situation such as that of Jaden Smith must be protected by the principal and by the Ministry of Education, and if needs be, we all should know by now, Child Development Service or Agency or Child Protective Services as we would know it, or the Child and Family or Children and Family Protection Service. There are so several departments now that sometimes I get tongue twisted, tongue tied, and even forget. But in Jamaica, we all know them as the Child Development Agency. How many of us well-thinking Jamaicans will stop and think of the role of Child Development Agency in the case or the matter regarding such one as Jaden Smith? I told you before, my listeners, I told you before, my friends, that Jaden Smith case is not a normal case as many of these children that were missing. For example, I have been getting many calls regarding missing students for the past 4 weeks or 3 weeks since the disappearance of Jaden Smith. And many of these children that I got called to talk about, I have not spoken about it. Why? Because when I hear the story behind their disappearance, I know that some of these children are with other relatives or friends and they will know about. For example, just 1 hour. Welcome back. We had a breaking transmission. You know, the weather at this moment is not as it normally was. But as I was saying before, just 1 hour ago, I got information of a child that was missing in Kingston area. Almost, we could say, a month now. Cannot be found. But today, thanks be to God, on this day when we're worried about Hurricane Melissa, the child is found and is safe. Jaden Smith, I am sure many of us as parents are still worried about if he's safe, if he's out there in the rain and in the cold. And listen to me, if you read the Jamaica 2004 Information Act, and if you read the 2014 up to 2020 and 2022, 23, 24 revision of the Child Protection Act, you will recognize that the Jaden Smith matter is one that the police department must protect the information thereof. The school must protect the information, and not just the information, but the identity of the child. Ladies and gentlemen, don't run with everything you hear out there. The Jaden Smith case is not a normal case. Jaden Smith must be protected by the security forces thereof. Jaden Smith must be protected by Ministry of Education. Jaden Smith must be protected by his principal. Jaden Smith must be protected by the justice system of Jamaica. Jaden Smith must be protected by the Child Development Agency. Jaden Smith is not your normal, typical runaway, getaway, escape child. No, the Jaden Smith case and matter, ladies and gentlemen, is one that is going to go down in the history and the books of Jamaica. Now, why am I so passionate about the Jaden Smith matter? I am so passionate about the Jaden Smith matter because I await as all you parents out there, all you fathers out there, all you aunts out there, all you mothers out there, I am as concerned as you, and I am waiting as you to hear what will be the conclusion and the result of this Jaden Smith matter. But, I do believe the case is settled and almost closed behind closed doors, to which many of us will not know the depth of the Jaden Smith matter. And ladies and gentlemen, this now is a call of concern. Yesterday, the 24th of October 2025, there was a demonstration in Mandeville at the Megamart compound across from the Manchester High School. And I want to thank a beautiful Jamaican Canadian lady, as I would describe her, Miss Shay Thompson. Thank you very much for leading what you would have described on social media and in the public affair and a national Jamaica radio station as a peaceful march. Congratulations, Miss Shay Thompson, for your contribution. Thank you for leading a peaceful march in Manchester. And I want to say something to you, Miss Shay Thompson, if you're listening or if anyone know her. As soon as you return to North America, or if you're on your way, please get my information and give me a call. I really would like to meet with you and talk to you and pursue this Jaden case with you, but not in public affair as in a march. No, no, no. I want to discuss this matter with you concerning the rules and regulation and the policies in the laws of Jamaica. I'm not a lawyer. Don't think I'm a lawyer. No, I'm not a lawyer. I want to discuss with you, Miss Shay Thompson, how much do you know about the Child Protective Service of Jamaica? How much do you know about the rules and regulations that guide principals and school teachers in how to conduct their affairs regarding reporting matters such as that of the Jaden Smith to the Ministry of Education, the security forces, and the authorities that be? Listen to me, Miss Shay Thompson. We need to talk. But thank you for leading that peaceful march. Oh, one more person I must highlight from the march yesterday. L.A. Lewis. L.A. Lewis. L.A. Lewis. L.A. Lewis. I could talk about you all day, but I have no time right now, L.A. Lewis. Somebody call L.A. Lewis and tell L.A. Lewis, I, L.A. White. He is L.A. Lewis. I am L.A. White. I, L.A. White, want to have a discussion with you, Mr. L.A. Lewis, on the Jaden Smith matter. Why? Because L.A. Lewis, all the obia and the science and the negromancy and everything you want to work, it not go work. No, no, no. All those dreams and visions you're having and where you're seeing and what you're hearing about Jaden, it just now work, can't work, and now go work. Because listen to me, no hobby man, no science man, no voodoo, no negromancy can solve this one. This one can only be solved by the laws of Jamaica and the power of Almighty God. So L.A. Lewis, the hobby now work. The science now work. The God ring now work. You could see him in a dream. You could see him in a pond. You could see him in a cave. You could see him in a grave. It just not work. Let's be positive, my friend. Let's be positive. Jaden Smith is still in public's affair as a missing child. And that's the only fact we have right now. We have no information that can prove that Jaden is dead. We have no information that can prove that Jaden relatives or family is involved in hurting Jaden. Many of you I watched yesterday on that march as you walked the streets of Mandeville. You went into bushes that many of you didn't even know. Why do you think I have these pictures on my screen, L.A. Lewis? L.A. Lewis, the very property you're sitting on or standing on in this picture is a very property I myself had spent some times. I know the owner of that property. I knew the owner of that property. I knew and I know the history of that property, that this picture you're in, Mr. L.A. Lewis. I could tell you about this property more than you could ever read. This book that is on my screen, L.A. Lewis, and all you people were in that march yesterday, that many of you declare to be a lost book of Jaden Smith, or you found a book from Jaden Smith, or a student. No, no, no. Listen, you're in a home that was once occupied by some of the most brilliant minds in the country of Jamaica. You are on a property that was once the home of one of the greatest contributor to the development of young minds of Jamaica. You are on the property of a home where brains were brought to the books and children had to study, and they came out successful and being great leaders in this country and island of Jamaica. If any of you had ever stopped to read the names in those books at that home that you would have gone in Mandeville yesterday, then you would recognize you're not in a normal home. You're not in a home that had anything to do with Obia and Science and Evil. No, you went on a property where that property was once one of the home of one of Jamaica's most praying man of God. You are on the property of a woman that was once one of Jamaica's greatest and still, if not, educator. Can I talk to L.A. Lewis for a moment? Next time you guys go on a march like that, get your facts right and have people who know you're surrounded. Listen to me. The only fact we know about Jaden Smith is that he is missing. We have no other factual information. All these dreams and visions many of you are having, you're eating too late. Late. Hello? That's why you're having some of these dreams and visions. Some of you must stop, get mingled in those obia rings. Listen, L.A. Lewis. L.A. Lewis, stop this nonsense you're carrying on with Jaden Smith. You're monetizing Jaden Smith. Oh, can I talk to L.A. Lewis for one more minute? L.A. Lewis, or anyone who is listening this broadcast, tell L.A. Lewis, L.A. White is sending a message to L.A. Lewis. Stop monetizing the Jaden Smith story. Stop using Jaden Smith as your social media promotion and growth. Stop using Jaden Smith's story to sell your obia ring and your God ring. Them no worth nothing. And if you continue, L.A. Lewis, you get a word about where Jaden is. Well, L.A. Lewis, I get a word for you. If you do not, hello, can I say it again? L.A. Lewis, if you don't stop monetizing Jaden Smith story, Jaden Smith case, Jaden Smith life, this is going to be the greatest fall for L.A. Lewis in the history of Jamaica. You do not monetize. You do not monetize. You do not use the story of a 12-year-old child that is missing to beg people for money. You do not use the story of a missing child, L.A. Lewis. L.A. Lewis, listen to me, L.A. Lewis. This is L.A. White speaking to you. You need to stop it. You are a father. You are a mentor. You are a public figure. You are a well-known man, L.A. Lewis. And I see you, L.A. Lewis, as one of Jamaica's greatest entertainer. So continue your entertainment, L.A. Lewis, but do not use the story of a missing child for your monetization and your financial growth. Continue with your maroon kingdom, which shall fall, because you have something coming up soon with Corey. You want a prophecy? Get ready for what's going to happen between you and Corey. Get ready for the Accompong Maroons. Get ready. And I ain't going to go further, L.A. Lewis. You're a great entertainer, and I respect you for the great entertainer you are. You are a very educated, knowledgeable, experienced, and I do believe, L.A. Lewis, you are a loving man. I do believe, L.A. Lewis, you are a very charitable person. I do believe, L.A. Lewis, you are doing a lot of good for many persons who really need good. Because when I look at that march, L.A. Lewis, yesterday, and saw the amount of people that came because of you, you need to channel that energy, L.A. Lewis, into a more positive way. Don't just rush with negatives. Channel it into a positive. We are sick and tired of negatives in Jamaica. We want to focus on the positive. And L.A. Lewis, you can be one of those role models that can lead these your followers on a positive path, not on a path of heresies and he said, she said, because I'm telling you, L.A. Lewis, and I'm challenging you on this. That property you were on yesterday, where persons were declaring that Jaden is in the water. Jaden ain't in no water. If you know the history of that property, they shouldn't even be on that property. They were trespassing on the property, and they could have been all charged for trespassing. You can imagine, L.A. Lewis, if the police force of Mandeville yesterday had got a call that people were trespassing on the property and they had to take action. Next time you guys approach someone's property like that, be careful. I don't want to spend no more time on you, L.A. Lewis. Give me a call and let's talk about it. You can be one of the most effective entertainer in Jamaica and the world if you channel that energy in a more positive direction. Let's get back to the closing point I'm making here about Jaden Smith. According to the Child Care Protection Act of Jamaica, according to the information database system of the Ministry of Education and what it requires of principal, ladies and gentlemen, it is possible, and it can be possible when the time comes that we may know the truth about Jaden Smith, and the truth may shock us that Jaden is not dead. The truth may shock us that Jaden could be. Who had ever thought of Jaden being in the protective care of the Child Development Agency? Did you know that no police officer in Jamaica, and listen to me carefully, L.A. Lewis, listen to me carefully, Miss Shay Thompson, no police officer in Jamaica by law is or have the right to expose the face, identity, or information of a juvenile. And in the case of the Jamaica Child Protection Act, and in the case of the Child Database Information Act, ladies and gentlemen, we may not get to see Jaden Smith as that boy that we're looking at on the picture. Possibilities are. The laws of Jamaica may be enacted where Jaden Smith may have to even get a new name, because it is the right of the justice system to protect a child under the age of 12 at any means possible. And based on the stories surrounding Jaden Smith would have fallen exactly under the rules and the regulations and the policies of the Jamaica Information Database System used by the Ministry of Education under their act. And Jaden would be one of the perfect example of a child that would be found under the Child Protective Service Act. How many of you, I am not a lawyer, I am not a great reader, but based on my small little intelligence, based on my small little investigation into the life of Jaden Smith, I do believe the time has come, Jamaica, where out of the life and story of Jaden Smith, we will get to understand the role of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the role of the Child Development or Children Protective and Family Protective Service. We'll get to understand the role of the justice system of Jamaica in regarding protecting a juvenile. Jaden was not 13 years old when he was left with a 2-year-old child. Jaden was underage. Jaden and the child were not in the presence of an adult. If you listen to the story of the aunt, come on, ladies and gentlemen, Do you know what we're facing here with? The child that Jaden was left with was not a Jamaican citizen. The child belonged to residency and citizenship of a foreign country. Do you know the laws regarding a foreign child, especially one who is in a health system and not a citizen of Jamaica, who had to go and seek medical help and medical health and care in a Jamaican health care system? Come on, Jamaica. Let's think for ourselves. Let's not run with every negatives we hear. Some persons are just monetizing and making social media number from the Jaden Smith case. But how many of them have been spending time to read carefully, to listen carefully, and to come up with their own analysis? Well, I am not the best interpreter of information, and I will not sit here and accuse the principal of the Manchester High School of being involved in evil sacrifices as the public would have it. I would not have the principal of the Manchester High School being discussed, in my opinion, and on my program or in my recording as a dangerous man. No, no, no. The Manchester High School principal has the same rules and regulations that guide and guard every principal in Jamaica on how they are to operate concerning the Child Protection Act, concerning the Information Act. Let's think, let's reason, and let's talk. Jaden Smith, based on what is happening in public affair, could be and may be one of those stories in Jamaica where a child may have to get a new identity and a new name. It's not all bad, but let's wait and see. We all demand justice. We all demand to hear what happened to Jaden. We all want to hear from the constabulary force and its investigators. We all want to know what the police commissioner of Jamaica has to say. We all want to know what the Minister of Justice has to say. We all want to know what the Minister of Education has to say. We want to hear from the Member of Parliament, Ms. Rhoda Crawford, again. We want to hear from the Child Development Agency. We want to hear from the Minister of Justice. We want to hear from the Prime Minister of Jamaica. But it's not an overnight thing. It's not an overnight thing, my friend. It's a process. It's hard to say these final words, but Jamaica, where Jaden Smith is concerned, let us trust the process. Let us be patient. Let us continue to pray that if Jaden is missing on his own, he will heed the call. Because there are several calls that went out in the public's affair, also on PA systems, public announcement systems, where I could even hear the voice of the vice principal of the Manchester High School echoing on PA systems so loud, calling out for Jaden. I could hear the pain, the hurt, within the voice of his principal as he echoed through social media and asked that Jaden would come to him. How do you know, ladies and gentlemen? How do you know that Jaden had not turned himself into the principal for safety? How do you know that Jaden had not turned himself in to the vice principal of the school for safety? How do you know that Jaden had not turned himself in to the guidance counselor for safety? How do you know that Jaden had not turned himself in to the police for safety? How do you know that the member of parliament, Miss Rhoda Crawford, who also made a public announcement, how do you know that someone from her constituency in which Jaden went lost? Oh, somebody said to me that Jaden is from Mr. Bunting's constituency. No, Jaden went missing in the constituency of Central Manchester Member of Parliament, Miss Rhoda Crawford. How do you know? The announcement Miss Rhoda Crawford made that Jaden had not turned himself into her. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it had been 4 weeks. I am a concerned parent. As I told you, I have 2 children that were born in the very vicinity that Jaden was born. I have 2 children that went to the very clinic that Jaden went to. I know what it is to walk the streets that Jaden walked. I know what it is to live where Jaden lived. I know what it is to work where Jaden lived. I know what it is. I know what it is. I know what it is to see the socio-economic conditions under which Jaden Smith lived. But ladies and gentlemen, how do you know that someone had not seen the struggles of Jaden and had made a better way for him? But how many of us know that it's a process? It is a process. So for now, we can only assume, and if you are like me, I feel deep in my heart, I feel deep in my spirit, I feel deep in my soul that Jaden is alive. And I do believe if anyone acted in regards to the 2004 Jamaica Information Database Act, that individual or individuals have right to keep the story of Jaden private, has right not to disclose anything to the public unless by a court order regarding Jaden Smith. And if any at all, the Child Protective Care Act of 2014, 2020, and revised later, if it any at all applies to Jaden, several things that were said about Jaden actually was working against him. 1, if Jaden was paid for work done. 2, if Jaden was in a controversial matter that had to go to court, he was still a juvenile. And anyone under the age of 12 should not be working for the earning of a salary. What if Jaden was in that situation? Not just that. Jaden has the right also, as a child under the age of 12, to be protected if at any means it can be proven in the court of law or to the justice system that his life is at risk. How many of us think of that? What was Jaden running from? Who was Jaden running from? Is not my concern anymore. My concern is, who was Jaden waiting for? Who was Jaden going to? Because the stories surrounding Jaden are stories that can be added up. That Jaden knew what he was doing, and Jaden knew where he was going. Let us trust the system. It's hard. It's painful. It's painful. And it's hard. But bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, One of the strongest evidence in the case of Jaden is Jaden was given at the age of 5 to his aunt. Jaden was no longer, after the age of 5, under the protective custody of his dad and mom, who are his rightful parents. Under the Juvenile Act, Jaden would have several rights and many rights that will now and would now guarantee Jaden a new home, a new place, a safe place, and loving, caring, protecting family. Not that they couldn't, but you could see from all ends that Jaden had struggles. Jaden's parents had struggles. I watched that march yesterday, and it's like they were forcing Jaden's mom to say things that she wasn't even capable of saying. Don't force her. Jaden, from the age of 5, was given to his aunt, who became his guardian. Ladies and gentlemen, my concern for Jaden right now is that his relatives will be safe. My concern for Jaden right now is that his principal and his teachers who knew him and his friends will be safe. Because the answers we're seeking from the police, the answers we're seeking from the Member of Parliament, the answers we're seeking from Child Development Agency, the answers we're seeking from the principal, the answers we're seeking from his cousins may not be soon. But let us trust the process. And I close on this matter. When I read the Child Care Protection Act, and when I read the Jamaica Information Data Act, I asked myself the question, what will be Jaden Smith's new name and new identity? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe in the weather. Be safe. Try your best to follow the information out there from the Office of the Disaster Prepared Management Unit or from the Office of the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Until next time, Lockton Orlando White is my name. Or you can say L.A. White. And if you know Mr. L.A. Lewis, tell Mr. L.A. Lewis, L.A. White would like to talk with him. God bless you. Stay safe until the storm passes by.